backup match when it comes to Legacy, as he's resolving a Terminus. Surprise, surprise. He's playing against Matt Ratajczak, who we actually saw at the Cleveland Open lose his match playing for top 8 when he was playing mono red aggros, playing a relatively aggressive deck here in Sultai Delver, given the texture of the format. Lossett looks to be in the driver's seat right now, however. Board is clear. Ratajczak has to rebuild. Now, Ratajczak is at 25 and Lossett is at 4. But if Joe's not dead and with the Sensei's Divine Top in play, you have to imagine he's doing pretty well.
Joe also on Cavern of Souls this weekend.
Does he have the mentors as well?
He has Izzet Staticaster,
okay.
Soulful Elemental, Aethersworn Canonist, Snapcaster Mage, Vendilion Cloak, Fencer.
Okay. Deathrite Shaman here. With Lossett at 4, that is a very real threat at this point. Sensei's Divine Top is going to draw a card. And there's an Entreat the Angels. Miracle Trigger. We'll see how much Joe wants to cast this for. There are cards like Spell Pierce and Daze to play around. Looks like he wants to try to play around Daze, not Spell Pierce, and Spell Pierce is going to play a role now as a result. However, Joe does have a copy of Flusterstorm at the ready for this Spell Pierce, so this is going to work out okay, as he's looking to get a clock onto the table.
And Joe really can't just do it for one, because then he loses to Abrupt Decay.
Yep.
And if he does it for everything, then he loses to any counterspell. So we did it the best that he could, but Matt was armed with a couple counterspells.
Yeah, he had Spell Pierce and a Daze to take care of that and Entreat the Angels. So, of course, Sensei's Divine Top will be the draw here for Lossett. He'll redeploy that top. He's got to find an answer to this Deathrite Shaman, though. It's causing some real issues. He will spin the top. Can he find a source of Plowshares? He found a copy of Pyroblast. Looks like he found a copy of Venser, too. He might be able to set up the old Venser plus Karakas.
That's a lot of mana to set up here.
Oh, it's not cheap. Now, he does have Karakas in play.
That is an answer of sorts to the Deathrite Shaman, but it assumes Matt has no follow-up play and no counterspell.
Well, for now, that's what Lossett's going to do. Venser. You see Ratajczak's hand. Does have Abrupt Decay. Looks like there's a Tarmogoyf over there too. But Venser is going to bounce Deathrite Shaman and slow this down. There's also a Trinity Nemesis over there. Joe with Karakas at the ready to bounce his own Venser if necessary, as Ratajczak will take a draw step. Picked up a copy of Tarmogoyf.
True name also potentially very problematic here for Joe.
Could be very, very good.
Because the Tarmogoyfs, Joe can still do his Venser, Karakas shenanigans. Even if Matt gets a second threat into play, you can block, bounce the other one, and so forth. But True Name, Joe may just not have an answer for it.
Yeah, Ratajczak's got to decide now if he wants to go with True Name or does he want to go this Deathrite Shaman plus maybe Abrupt Decay or Tarmogoyf route. Karakas is going to bounce Venser. Joe's going to draw Sensei's Divine Top for the turn. You have to imagine we're going to see him redeploy and spin again. So there's a top off the plains. He'll cast Venser right now, expecting maybe for it to get countered, but it's in there. I guess we'll have to check what the Cavern of Souls is naming, and it is on Wizard, so it can't be countered.
Yep, combo.
So many of them miracles.
And I'm surprised that Matt did not make an effort to get True Name into play last turn, because everything Joe did this turn was on the table. He knew about Divining Top, and he knew about Venser, and Matt sort of took a turn not doing anything.
Yeah, I think this is a situation where you do have to deploy Trinity Nemesis and try to get the game over with that way. Pluto Delta was the draw for Ratajczak.
Now, if you want to play True Name Nemesis and Deathrite Shaman this turn, I'm all about it, because Joe has to spend a lot of his resources getting the Deathrite Shaman off the table, and then True Name can kind of try to cross the finish line.
Joe going to spin his top. Power Blast among the options, but no red mana here. So it looks like he's just going to keep those cards on top. Trinity Nemesis looks like it's going to enter the battlefield.
Power Blast, very helpful against Trinity Nemesis when it's on the stack, but once it's in play, no help.
Indeed. Karakas might be bouncing Venser. It is. He'll settle on tap. He'll draw a card. It's a Flooded Strand. He'll start by spinning top. See what that third card down is. Red Elemental Blast. You're of no help. So the set will play Athletic Strand. He'll have to sacrifice this and go down to 3. Convenient, given there's a true name in play.
Exactly. This puts Joe into answer true name or bust, but the top 3 cards of his deck offered no help. He wants to give himself a shuffle here, so maybe he can find Terminus or some other answer.
Indeed. Volcanic Island is what Lossett will search up. And it's time to spin that top again. Does he find an answer? Snapcaster Mage, Brainstorm. Looks like a land. It's unclear Snapcaster Mage provides any help here. Joe's going to kind of run through some things in his head. He can Snapcaster a Brainstorm, do a bunch of unique things to maybe get 1 card deeper into his deck.
Yeah, he has the option to do that. He can also potentially Snapcaster the Swords of Plowshares and plow his own Snapcaster Mage. That gives him a little bit of life. But he is running out of options here.
Here's a snap. There's the Brainstorm. Draw 3, put 2 back. So that means that the next card down, he'll be able to look at. The top card was deck, so 2 cards will go back.
And he could still set up Terminus here through the Divining Top by using it to draw on Matt's turn, if that were the case.
Now he gets to spin. Is this a Terminus down here? It's an island. He gave himself the best chance to find a Terminus, did not find one, and he'll have to concede the game. So Matt Ratajczak's going to tie things up here against Joe Lossett. Sultai Delver and Miracles are going to go to game number 3 with about 7 minutes left.
On that last turn there, it was bleak for Joe. He ended up dying, but you can see this deck is capable of getting a lot of looks at cards there, even in that kind of situation.
We'll take a look at the sideboards very quickly here. Ratajczak with a Grafdigger's Cage, a Pithing Needle, an Null Rod, and Muzawa's Jite, 2 Diverts, a Hydroblast, a Flusterstorm, a Force of Will, a Surgical Extraction, Corrosion Grip, Golgari Charm, Abrupt Decay, and then 2 Thought Seizes as well.
I think, of all the Delver decks, Sultai Delver is the one that goes the longest. It has the most staying power. It's the slowest of the decks. So I think that Matt really wants to fight the battle over Sensei's Divining Top, because that's the card that gives Joe a lot of power in long games. I think Pithing Needle is the easiest card to bring in. I think even narrow cards like Corrosion Grip and Null Rod are reasonable to bring in, because Sensei's Divining Top is so good in Joe's deck. I think the 2 copies of Thoughtseize will also come in here as well.
What do we see on Lossett's side?
And this is Static Caster, a Sulfur Elemental, a Council's Judgment, a Pithing Needle, a Wear Tear, 2 copies of Pred Elemental Blast, an Aethersworn Canvas, a Cavern Souls, an Entreat the Angels, a Counter Spell, 2 copies of Flusterstorm, 2 copies of Relic of Progenitus. Like the Flusterstorms, like the Relic of Progenitus, Sultai Delver leans a lot on his graveyard with Tarmogoyf and Deathrite Shaman. It's a low opportunity cost card here as well. I think the additional copy of Entreat the Angels is really good, especially with the clock running low. I think Joe wants to speed up his kill if at all possible.
Oh, the clock is running low. They might have about 6 minutes left to go here. Now, oddly enough, Miracles can actually win a game now in this time frame, given a card like Entreat the Angels.
Yeah, before, back in the day, you were on Mishra's Factory, Beatdowns, or some other super slow way of doing it. But now with Entreat, it's not good for the clock to be under 6 minutes if you're on Joe's side, but he's definitely capable of winning a game in that amount of time.
It's too bad Joe's not on his Baneslayer Angel days anymore.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be a way to close him down. And that's a card that Sultai Delver has a lot of problem beating. Ratajczak's happy with the 6. Perhaps we're in store for a little bit of speed magic as a Cavern of Souls. I imagine we'll name Wizards. We'll get confirmation on that. There's Sensei's Divining Top. A Thoughtseize off an Underground Sea here from Ratajczak. Joe will lay out his hand. Swords of Plowshares, a Jace, a Brainstorm, a Caracas, and a Scalding Tarn. And that's Cavern of Souls did name Wizard. Swords of Plowshares is going to bite the dust.
And Joe's hand is so good that if Matt is taking a Swords to Plowshares out of it, I had to imagine he's got Dark Confidant. He's got to have a really premium creature here that he wants to push through.
Joe spinning his top on upkeep. He's going to play a Scalding Tarn. Pass the turn back over to Ratajczak. Ratajczak will draw. Well, if he didn't have a Confidant, he's got one now. And he will deploy the 2-1. See if this stays in play. The second, going to sacrifice his Scalding Tarn. Go down to 19. Will it be a basic island? Maybe a volcanic island? Get a little bit of red mana out here. He'll go with the Tundra. Make himself open to Wasteland a little bit.
Joe's already in trouble against Wasteland because of the Cavern, so at this point, he should just try to fix his mana as much as he can.
Spin the top. Venser, Island. Cavern of Souls. Looks like he has some interest in Basic Island as he reorganizes those cards. He'll take a draw here as we've got 4 minutes left to go. It's funny, he can try to play as quickly as he can, but given the mechanics of Miracles, you can only play so fast.
Exactly.
There's an island. Here's a brainstorm. He wants an answer. He's not able to find an answer to Dark Confidant. Not yet, at least.
His 4-mana cards still provide him a good amount of defense here. He has Venser plus Caracas. He has Jason the Mind Sculptor, which can be good against Dark Confidant. The unsummoned effect, but I think he was really hoping to find either Snapcaster Mage or Source of Plowshares that turn.
Daze is the reveal. It's actually a pretty good reveal.
So Cavern of Souls still doing work.
Yes, it is. Hiya. In for 2. See Ratajczak's hand. He's got Force of Will and Stifle over there. Dark Confidant's aplenty. And a Delver of Secrets. A fun-looking one. Pass the turn back. No land there for Ratajczak. Lossett. He's going to play a Brainstorm. Wants to get a little deeper. That's resolving.
Attention, legacy
The
player.
new card is Snapcaster Mage. Remember, the way that Joe likes to build his Miracles decks, a lot more creatures.
Yeah, he plays at least in the post-board games.
Oh, yeah.
Game 1, sometimes we see these lists that are 2 Snapcaster Mage, 1 Mid-Dealing Click.
Yep.
Some creatures, but not a lot. Post-board, he often sides into a lot. And some odd ones, too, like the Venser, like the Baneslayer Angel you mentioned before. Not in his 75 this weekend, but we see it here a lot.
Here's Terminus.
Aethersworn Canonist among his sideboarded cards.
Looks like Ratajczak may have a Stifle here for the Miracle trigger, and he will. So that's just going to be in Lossett's hand.
Yeah, when you Stifle a Miracle trigger, the card still ends up in Joe's hand. It doesn't go to the graveyard, but you can't cast it on the cheap.
Lossett looking at Snapcaster Mage in hand. He can Snapcaster a Swords here. Looks like that's what he's going to do. These Caverns are actually looking pretty good in this deck.
Yeah, this has been sweet.
And I am assuming that Joe is using the Cavern.
Yeah, it's
here.
tapped.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Matt. Yeah, I thought for a second there Matt was going to Force of Will that.
That would be bad news. Swords will take care of the Confidant, pass the turn back. Take a look at Delver of Secrets. That'll reveal an Abrupt Decay. That means it's flipping. Tick-tock goes that clock, however. Not sure if these players will have the time to finish. In comes the Delver for 3. There's another copy of Dark Confidant. Joe will spin his top. Venser and Jace. Looks like 2 Vensers, 1 Jace.
And Matt here clutching onto the Force of Will plus blue card to answer the Jace the Mind Sculptor he knows about.
There's
Now
another Cavern.
Joe can spend his time doing other stuff like uncounterable Vensers and so forth, using Caracas.
That Cavern also naming Wizard. Oh, there's Venser. Who's that going to bounce? Matt is going to Force a Will this. This is not going to work out very well for him. Because Cavern of Souls is in play. Yeah, and I don't think Matt knew that that was a wizard. This ends up being a waste of cards there.
And now, it's funny, Joe's actually kind of turning into a damage race sort of game here.
Let him keep the Confidant. I think that's what you have to do. Now Ratajczak playing a little quickly, missed the trigger on Dark Confidant there. Gonna spin at the top. Joe with a Terminus. That's in his hand from earlier, dig through time as well.
You can see Joe there with no mercy with that Cavern of Souls. Plus Venser sequence there with the Force of Will. Just said, yep, that resolves,
Yep.
and then just put his Venser into play.
We're into extra turns now. Joe has turns 0, 2, and 4. Ratajczak turns 1, 3, and 5.
But even with as well as this game is going for Joe, in the absence of Entreat, I don't think he can win in time.
Yep. It'll be hard. Looks like he might be going the Jace route. And he is. A brainstorming response by Ratajczak. That'll resolve. Force of Will among the cards he's found.
A lot of green and black cards, I think.
Yeah, Tarmogoyfs, Abrupt Decays, and Force of Will.
Joe can essentially play Jace on turn 0 to try to set up a Entreat the Angels for turn 4.
Yes. Brainstorm done resolving. Jace is going to enter the battlefield. He'll start at 3. See if it's going to go Brainstorming, if it go Fate Sealing. Heck, it could even go Unsummoning here. None of those are bad. That's what makes the card so gosh darn good.
3 good modes. I think Joe's most likely play here is to Brainstorm.
He'll start by attacking.
And if I'm Matt, I'm definitely blocking with Dark Confidant here because
Cards don't seem to matter at this point. Why
Matt can't win in time.
Okay, I thought he was almost not blocking.
Yeah, I think he has to block there because Matt cannot win the game in time.
Yep.
And the Dark Confidant makes it more likely that he loses to Entreat the Angels or some other weird way.
Can Joe find Entreat the Angels? That's his way to steal this thing. He'll Brainstorm. Didn't find it yet. But he's able to put away some of the toys. Terminus and Venser, those don't matter too much anymore.
At this point, Joe can't lose the game inside of time. So it's just giving himself the most opportunities to try to find Entreat.
Yeah. 14 damage is not being dealt to Joe. Cards will go back. Flutter Strand will be played. That's a big one. That gives him a reshuffle. Pass that turn back. Is Delver flipping? It is not.
Yeah, Matt put a Tarmogoyf on top of the deck there.
Yeah.
Well, what probably should have been set there was Abrupt Decay.
Yeah, he's got 2 in his hand.
He didn't want to put the Force of Will on top because if the Dark Confidant was still around in his turn, he didn't want to take 5, but just should have been the Abrupt Decay. Not that it matters for very much. Again, Matt can't really do very much except cast the cards in his hand, hope not to die.
But it's important, I think, this particular turn, given that he's playing for a draw, like if the Delver flips, he gets to kill the Jace, and that matters.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Because the Jace gives Joe more looks.
Well, I don't know if it gives Joe enough looks in the allotted time. It does matter in terms of being able to chump block an Entreat token, which could also be the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah. Gonna sacrifice the Flooded Strand.
But the Jace is worth at least 1 card deeper, so. Just should have been the Abrupt Decay.
Yep. We'll see if that misstep comes back to hurt Ratajczak, as the set is trying to work his way to a W here. He's going to get a Volcanic Island with that Flooded Strand. He'll also get to spin the top end of turn. Spin it good. I think we found one.
Looks like Entreat.
So now what Joe's got to do, he's got to figure out how much to do it for and when to do it.
Yeah, he has to decide, can I afford to play around days?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Do I need to do this for the full amount, or can I leave a minute left over?
Am I supposed to do this end of turn for 5 because he has lands to choose from, or do I do it for 4? Because this turn, he's drawing a land.
You want to play right away? Please come up and sign up. We only need 2 more for a booster draft.
And we might see with Jace this turn, him just unsummon Tarmogoyf, get across for 2 points of damage.
Yep.
He's trying to get Matt to make a mistake.
He may not even need Matt to make a mistake at this point, because if he bounces, if he unsummons the Tarmogoyf, then that means next turn Matt has to make the decision of leave Delver Secret's bat to block or try to attack and take down Jace. And in either event, Matt's running out of blockers, and particularly blockers in the air. If Matt uses his whole turn redeploying Tarmogoyf, that does nothing.
Yep. Here comes Snapcaster Mage. Tarmogoyf got bounced via Jace. Pass the turn back and treat the Angels on top of the deck. Ratajczak will draw a card. It's a Force of Will. And Joe says, "Hup, da, 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 da."
Yep.
That's revealed. That's not in your hand yet. This will flip. Huh? Now he draws his card. As Ratajczak is at 11 life here.
Now, Joe has Flusterstorm in hand, so the Force of Will does not force him to move, even if Matt could cast it, which Matt cannot.
But Joe doesn't know that.
Although Joe may suspect it, because why else would have Matt put the Force of Will that far down?
Sure.
All available judges to the deck check area, please.
Yeah, Matt's trying to figure out, is there any way I can win this game? Do I just need to kill Jace? It's turn 3 right now, so him winning, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Him killing Jason may be working for a draw. That might work.
We've been in the same spot for a while now. Matt is either draw or lose, and Joe is either draw or win.
Yes. So Matt needs to decide, is it worth it for me to attack Jace? Do I just hold back on defense? Do I just attack you? Attacking him seems to be the worst of the 3 options. Just don't think you're really going to accomplish very much. There's Tarmogoyf.
And now this is very easy for Joe, because he
Yes.
doesn't have to worry about, some weird spell pierce, Flusterstorm kind of shenanigans. He can just play around the one thing.
Joe going to draw and reveal Entreat the Angels. With the Miracle Trigger on the stack, he's going to sacrifice Arid Mesa. That'll give him another mana to put towards Entreat.
And in fact, with Matt tapped out, Joe can be really conservative about this if he wants to be.
And he can just make 3 Angels and leave up mana to pay for days and cast Flusterstorm on the Force.
Exactly. He
Yep.
can be very conservative here.
And 3 Angels is going to be more than enough to get the job done. But again, Joe just wants to make sure he does not make a mistake here.
Yeah, it's what bizarre sequence of cards do I want to play around
Yeah.
here?
So the Entreat's going to be 4-3. And that is going to get the job done. Joe Lossett, with 1 turn left to play, is going to win this match here over Matt Ratajczak. Miracles will take down Saltide Delver. Joe is very used to going to time with this deck, but he's also used to getting wins in time. He does it again.
Yeah, squeaking it out in turn 4 or turn 5 there with Entreat the Angels. We've seen Joe do it a lot. And this is the kind of matchup that goes pretty long. I know that Saltide Delver is a Delver deck, and we typically think of them as being pretty fast, but the deck can go a little bit longer. You have Abrupt Decays in your deck, so the Miracles that can't lean on Counterbalance to lock you out. And so Entreat's really the card for Miracles in the matchup. And you saw it there. Very important for Joe. It's hard for Matt to interact with, and it's also something that allowed Joe to win in the allotted time.
Every win here for